more of credibility. I mean, good morning to your viewers. It has to do with credibility, because credibility goes with investors' confidence. Anytime investors figure out that there is no credibility, it's difficult to actually sell in a financial instrument. So I think Ghana is in a mess, we all know. So it has to go through that kind of difficulty.
Credibility. That's the big issue we are facing now. The markets do not trust us.
Certainly. Because the issue is that you are telling someone to give you their money, and then how you manage it, how you manage previous monies, they want to know. And if they figure out that, you're using the money for things that has no long-term positive impact, they're not gonna, subscribe more to it. And that is why if you look at the stock market, it goes up and down. Ukraine war has started, and you see the market going down for some time now. So it's very sensitive to what is going on, and then investor confidence has correlation with, what is going on around the persons involved. And in the case of Ghana, you can see we've done a lot of refinancing, because what they do is that they retire old debts by trying to sell new bonds to retire old debts. And when you do that, it means you're basically postponing repayments, and you are endangering the financial future of future generations. So investors know this, and their confidence will dwindle when they figure out that your financial management system or thinking is very poor.
And I'm guessing this has interested you for a while. I don't as well know why we are originally scheduled to speak to you, but I'm also wondering, do you think the proposal that's on the table, the E-levy, would rebuild this confidence in any way?
Well, E-levy is going to cause a lot of problems, and the investors themselves know. See, sometimes when you ask investors to put money in your business or whatever enterprise, they try to promote your interest. They look at your interest also, because whatever they can get from it depends on the success of your venture. So if they figure out that when you impose E-levy, it's going to cause the economic some disincentive when it comes to stimulation. Economic stimulation has correlation with how much money people are able to keep. So taxation is not a good thing. It helps you mobilize money or levy. But if you don't put it into productive ventures, which we all know is not going to be put in any productive venture, then it means that whatever you put in, you'll be worried about the risks, exposures, regards to repayment. Because the E-levy is going to cause a lot of economic retrogressions, because you are taking money from people who are already financially distressed. And certain business activities, you don't tax them. And electronic transfer is one of them, because you are not taxing income. You are basically taxing economic activity. And that is pretty retrogressive economically. So I think investors will not endorse such a system that will cause our economy to go down. So for me, it's going to worsen the investor confidence even more.
But if that guarantees you your money, why would an investor not jump in? Of course, you're talking about 6.9 billion.
Now, it's a system there can be evasion, a lot of evasion, and that means that you cannot put your financial future on. Because you will tell me that people should pay certain levies on financial activity they undertake. If they refuse to take it, two things happen. You don't get the money, and it also causes your economy not to be stimulated. Because the more people spend, people undertake certain economic activities, the more its impact on the economy is felt. But once you take money from people, or people evade the tax or the levy, then we come back to square zero. So taxes must always, or levies must always be targeted. For example, if you introduce property tax, it's pretty progressive. Why? Because the bigger your house, the more you pay. So that can really raise money. And then it makes a lot of long-term sense. But if you're taking it from economic activity, especially Ghana is just starting the digital, most of the digital processes. And then you tax and disincentivize that activity, and then it's going to have long-term future. So investors may want the money to come, but they are also thinking of the money not coming because of the structure of the E-levy. It's based on economic activities, and people may evade it.
And I'm guessing, based on this analysis, you're worried about some of the decisions that are being made currently in government by those who have been given the tax to run this country, both on the political front, financial front, when it comes to legal issues. And your expertise is in the organization management, whether that can apply to a country or not. Perhaps you may be worried about how things are being shaped.
Certainly, I have been a strong advocate for our country to be reinvented because there are a whole lot of systems that are not working. If you look at the financial sector, we can talk about it the whole day. And even people who doesn't understand basic economics know that we are not heading towards the right direction. Because we look at a country that is in crisis and nobody wants to touch expenditure. And for me, expenditure is one of the messes we have. We have bloated our public sector, which is already very inefficient. When you do that, you increase your wage bill. And once your wage bill increases, African governments are very addicted to increasing taxes. So you resort to taxation, and when you tax, you're taking money from the people. It means that economic activities cannot take place. You are taking money from companies. They can't reinvest to create opportunities for people to be employed. Unemployment goes up. So all horror stories will occur if you don't make certain things work in our country. And for me, the fundamentals has to also be taken care of. See, when we free our people, we incentivize creativity and innovation. If you tell people you are free to do AYBZ, and then give them the clear vision, remove certain obstacles on their way to do business in Ghana now, it's pretty difficult. And also, you look at the private sector culture, it doesn't exist. Government is sitting on most of the businesses. Government still run buses, government's transportation, government is still in almost everything. So for us to have a sound economy, for us to have a country that has good governance, we need to do a lot of things. We need to restructure the economic and also the political order. You should also know that when you go to court on any economic issue, you're going to get justice. So when people don't have confidence in our systems like the judiciary system, parliament they don't have confidence in, then it means that it's going to affect both the confidence they have in our economy and many other things. You see, people get certain responsibilities because of family relationship or sometimes your political activism. And in the end, most people don't have clear vision and then also commitment to get certain transmissions undertaken. So you look at most of our governmental institutions, they are not working to help the private sector. And when there is that arrangement, you keep seeing that we have a lot of excess energy in Ghana because unemployment is so high. And you look at it, there's no effort to reverse the situation. And when your country has large unemployment, is going to translate into many things. Armed robbery goes up. Everything that is horror is going to be present and perhaps permanent in your system.
And that requires a certain level of leadership to deal with. Is that why you are interested in joining the political arena on a full scale now?
Well, I've been in it for a long time, but I think everybody should be active in politics.
Everybody should be active in politics.
In some fashion, that's my advocacy. Because if you don't pay attention, what is this is that people will decide for you. People will mess up the country for you. People do a lot of things that will affect you and your grandchildren. And I always think we must bequeath this country to the next generation in a very good way. Our predecessors did their best under difficult, different circumstances. And we have the task now to be involved. So becoming a politician, people have dirtied politics. But politics is not bad. It's the people who actually do politics who creates the impression that once you go into politics, you are in a dirty arena. The arena is pretty fine, it's clean, but it's the people, the attitude. So me going into politics, I think, is just not exercising my civic responsibility, but looking into the future and seeing that things can be fixed, giving the right opportunity to the right people.
Well, in case you just join us, I apologize. I've taken a lot of you by surprise. I wasn't so sure whether I was going to have this conversation was coming on. Dr. Justice Salifu, Doc, Doc, one of the things, this is a conversation that emanates from listening to you last Sunday on the NDC, on the Professionals Forum Hour, when you joined us and enjoyed our conversation. And one of the things you said that I paid particular attention to, because you can talk about the things you've been engaged in, the things you've been doing. You said you've been in education. You said from the basic school all the way to tertiary?
Yes.
In Ghana?
In Ghana, yes. My mom was a teacher, so teaching has always been something that is in me. So coincidentally, my mother used to pray we shouldn't become teachers because we think teaching is very challenging. But after being in the field for some time, I pretty much enjoy it because it's a way you can impact people. I taught JSS for my national service, and I also had the rare opportunity to teach secondary school. I taught government in the secondary school. And when I came to the US, I never thought about teaching. I just wanted to explore other things and then ended up having some stint in teaching. So for me, the teaching has always been part of me and it will continue to be part of me.
And are you still in the business of education?
Certainly. I'm even getting more into it because in Ghana, I was a dean of a university, new university at Lakeside. It used to be called Medina Institute of Science and Technology. And then the name has changed to Lakeside University College. We started it and I started the business school. And my vision for it was just to make it stand out. You look at corporate culture in Ghana, it's very counterproductive. So my aspiration was to get people trained so they go into the corporate world and change our corporate culture. And I've been worked on this. At some point, I figured out that there was a need to set up my own. So I relocated to the US. I resigned. I came to the US and then started doing consulting. I set up an institution in the US here, and then found that I can leverage that to set up a university, comprehensive university in Ghana. So currently, I have ongoing preparation towards getting the university to run. We are running limited programs just on charity basis because I run a foundation also. But in the future, we're looking to have a comprehensive university where we have medical school, we have graduate school that will train current leaders. If you don't change the current leaders, you cannot train future leaders to function effectively. That is my from my experience.
First of all, the institute you set up, you said you started in the US. What's it called?
Monroe Institute of Technology.
Monroe Institute of Technology. And I'm guessing it's based in. Where is it based?
It's based in New Jersey, Monroe Township.
Okay.
Monroe, because one of the people I idolize is James Monroe, former U.S. president. And I also live in the Monroe Township, so I'm a member of the Monroe Township community. And I wanted to name it to honor, what community can do.
And it was interesting when I heard you said you were doing it on a charity basis. I hear education in the US is not cheap. It's quite expensive. How are you able to do that?
I do the charity more in Ghana, but in the US, I'm here to dig gold, so I usually don't do my charity here. But I have the same foundation here in America. I have a foundation that respond to disaster and many other philanthropic activities we undertake. But for Monroe Institute, my aspiration is to also build a comprehensive university here. But currently, I just do more of consulting under that, business consulting.
Okay. So the institute is running, but you spend a lot more time doing the consulting.
Here, but in Ghana, we do training for people who need empowerment. Just train people in, career bridges and sometimes masterclass that we do. But we're looking to build a bigger campus so that we can, further work towards the goals that we set for ourselves.
Those are very audacious plans you have. University in the US, university in Ghana. And in the meantime, I hear you are interested in becoming the chairman of the NDC in US. Is that accurate?
Well, I've been approached by many people. I am someone who has been, the interesting coincidence has been happening in my life. I walk to a place and someone would tell me, why not become part of the leadership? Now, when I returned to the US, I became very active in the New York branch. So people started approaching me and, advising, advocating that I become part of the leadership of NDC USA. NDC USA is the bigger organization that coordinates the activities of the branches. I've listened to many of them. And at some point, I thought once the calls keep coming, I need to respond. But nominations are not open, so the answer can be definitive in a way with caution because the party hasn't opened nominations. But I've come to a point where I feel that once they open nominations, I'll be a candidate for the chairmanship.
People approach you. Why? Why people approach you and propose an idea to Doc? Doc, who has such huge plans on his hands already. Why would Doc decide to take up one that involves, because the diaspora, the US branch of the NDC will certainly be a huge branch to manage. Why would you agree to that?
Well, people who worked with me in the past know how active I was in the NDC, both in Ghana and also in the US here. I was the secretary of New Jersey branch. It used to be chapters. So I was the secretary until from 2003 to 2013. I think I didn't even hand it over to anybody. So I still think I'm still the secretary of New Jersey branch because I didn't hand over. New Jersey and New York always work together. So once in a while, you see the New Jersey chapter not functioning because members are also part of New York. So because of my activism, some people know how committed I am to the NDC. And also in New York, I served in a couple of committees, and maybe they found me very hardworking and someone who can really bring a lot of good to the chapter.
So to you, it's just expanding the scope of your activism within the National Democratic Congress.
Yes.
And taking up a bigger position.
Right. We must always be fixing wherever we find ourselves. The current leaders are doing their best, but the organization is very complex. There are a lot of challenges, and 2024 is not going to be an ordinary year. The work to take power from the current government is not going to be easy. If you remember, 2008, we had to go the third round. So I always think it's not going to be easy, no matter how mess they have caused. We know that we can't walk on the red carpet. We need to work hard. And working hard is not just going to be me working hard, but getting a lot of, all the members to be on board. A leader is not the one that tells everybody what to do, but to create an environment where they are inspired, they are motivated towards victory. So my personal motivation is to see NDC in power. The other one is to see that we hand over NDC USA to future generations in very good shape. And I have come up with a lot of things when they open nominations, I will advocate. See, currently we have a law in Parliament that says that you cannot contest for elections if you are a dual citizen. Most of us are dual citizens here. Now we can put up an advocacy, and I wanted NDC USA to be advocating for that. As a leader, you have to advocate for the interests of your members. And I also figured out that anytime people are not around, for example, you relocate to Ghana to do 1 or 2 things, you go back to the US, people tell you that they don't know you. It means institutional memory has been very poor. And like you rightly said, my background is organization and management. And I know when things needs to be fixed. And I have the solutions. I want to make sure that we have a comprehensive database of all members, not only the biographic information, but also their backgrounds. So when we need to tap into it, it's pretty easy. And when people go wherever they go, whether they become presidents, we can still trace them and own them. So this is I have a lot of things, and I want to accomplish if I get that chance. Another is that we don't have recruitment drive. See, people come to the US looking for NDC, they can't find one. So it's because of the lack of visibility. So if I get the chance to be the chairman, I'll come up with a recruitment strategy. People come to the US and they face a lot of challenges. Some of us are pretty experienced with how to assimilate into the system. So I'll set up a system that will welcome them, help them with the immigration process, and also help them to settle. Some of them looking for jobs. There are people in the system like me who have their own, companies. So when we collaborate that way and then set up this type of system to welcome them, it will actually make them feel they are part of our community. And also in the future, they will be the major players in our party. So we need to welcome them and begin to expand our base. People are also sitting on the fence because they think they don't want conflicts. They don't want, people sometimes avoid conflicts. So because of some disagreements, some people feel they should just be away. So I'm going to be the bridge. And my focus will be to bring everybody back because 2024 is going to be a collective battle, and we need to fight that together.
And I'm hoping that when nominations are properly open, perhaps we can have a full conversation on some of these things that you are talking about. And I'm also guessing you have been having conversation with some members of the NDC USA on what they think about you being a leader, doing some groundwork. How does it look?
Well, a leader for me is should be a facilitator. And then effective leadership comes from situational leadership. I taught leadership in graduate school for 4 years, so I understand the theory and practice of leadership. When you run organizations like NDC USA, it's more complex than running any other brand constituency in Ghana. Because in Ghana, the constituency chairman is a whole lot of things. People come to their house to ask them to help them pay. We don't have that here. People are pretty independent. People are very educated. People are very focused. They ask you questions when they need to ask, and it's a free society. So you must have the temperament and the ability to use the kind of leadership style that matches the kind of people. But if you use the Ghana type of leadership, it's not going to be effective because the situation is different. So my leadership style will be more situational, and I'll be looking to tap into the expertise, the energies, the financial resources of members we have here. Once they are motivated and understand my mission, they'll come along with me.
Well, Doc, I have a scheduled commercial interview, but before I let you go, just to ask one last question on this idea that you are pushing. I'm guessing that you're monitoring what is happening in the case of the Asin North MP and a decision taken by the High Court. I'm guessing you were not so happy with that whole decision, even considering the fact that he attempted to renunciate his citizenship.
Yes, it has been one of the biggest challenges, and I think it's time for us to, try to change the law. And those of us here should advocate. Whether you are a member of a political party, you are a member of a religious organization, you should be advocating for a change. Because under the current arrangement, when you have a child here, the child cannot be president. If Senator's child, may God forbid, your wife is in labor and happen to be transported to the US to have the child will have to get a visa to come back to Ghana. And the child can never be president. What is their crime? They weren't born in Ghana. They were actually born in America because of circumstance they had no contribution to. So, and many other countries, I'm yet to see which country is so hostile to their people living in diaspora than Ghana. Because you cannot be the chief firefighter. What has that got to do with your citizenship? You can play for the Black Stars, but you can be chief of staff, you cannot be a minister. Chief of staff is more powerful and can sabotage Ghana more. So I think whatever the legislative intent was, what the framers of the Constitution was looking at, this is our Constitution, this is our time, this is our problem. We need to fix it. Because if you look at what is going on with Asin North and MP, it's a very complex situation. When you read the Constitution is talking about loyalty, and then people are contesting dual citizenship. Yeah, allegiance is a very complicated thing. Every morning, I remember when we were in school, you have to sing the national anthem, you have to do the pledge. It's just reiterating your allegiance. And allegiance is not the same as dual citizenship. Other than that, when we get up here, we have to say we are committed to America. I mean, we have allegiance to America and also allegiance to Ghana. It's very difficult to do that. So there are a lot of issues, and this is a very broad topic we can discuss another time. But there are a lot of challenges with regards to citizenship. And both parties will never do anything if we don't advocate. So I see the parties we have here as a vehicle for us to put up advocacy. We can call on NDC MPs to vote for the bill. And for us, for me, it will be doing a lot of good. It will be helping future generations. And there are a lot of people here in America with a lot of ideas, a lot of energy, a lot of commitment to their communities. They want to go and serve, but they can't because they don't want to give up their citizenship, because they have families here they have to still be connected to. So we need to do something about that, and the situation of the Asin North MP will not emerge again.